Hi, I'm Kristie with Kansas Department of Transportation, and I'm going to talk to you guys about how the new FHWA pavement performance targets has affected our agency's approach to preservation, and it really hasn't affected us much. Kansas's approach has been to take care of the state system. Kansas has had a robust pavement management system since the 80s that has guided and helped maintain the state system. The Fed performance targets are introducing a blip in our data, and it's affecting how we are going to be reporting on it going forward and how we talk to our legislators and our decision makers. As you can see, Kansas has often come in around the 90s, high 80s. The orange line is the interstate. The red line is non-interstate. And so with the new measures and the new matrices for reporting our data, we're now coming in at 67% for interstate good, and we're coming in with 63% for non-interstate NHS good. As far as our poor payment, we're still coming in very comparable to what Kansas has reported in the past. With the huge push to turn in transportation asset management plans, all states had to set targets. KDOT set targets based on a straight line, and we set a conservative and achievable approach. So our interstate percent good for 2020 and 2022 is 65%, and we are maintaining at 67% right now. And then non-interstate NHS for 2020 and 2022, we set at 55, and our value on that was 63%. So going forward, we feel those are very achievable targets. And why the differences? We have a huge paradigm shift. That huge difference is Kansas has looked at transverse cracking and joint distress. And the federal measures, that's not really looked at. Another thing that's kind of driving things is the cracking percent. With an automated system, the collection algorithms are generating a higher cracking percent than is true, especially on odd size panels. We've got some 6x6 panels out there, skewed joint lines, and crack seals. Another thing that is driving that to have a much lower percent good for Kansas is in the Kansas data, we looked at actions. So when we were putting up the matrices, some of ours matrices that were fair, we'd still consider it a good pavement. Because if it's fair and there's nothing that we can really do to it to make it much better until it gets further deteriorated, we just lumped it up into that good category. Whereas with the feds, that has now brought us into a fair category. Should FHWA pavement targets affect Kansas's approach? Right now that they look at is interstate and NHS. Well, what about the rest of the state system? If we pushed all of our dollars to address what the feds wanted, I don't know, I wouldn't want to live out in western Kansas then. And we still got to move goods across the state. So Kansas is going to continue to address the entire state system and apply the funds where we need to maintain a good state system. How have the new FHWA performance targets affected our agency's approach to preservation? Not much, but it sure has affected how we report them and interpret the data. Any questions? Thank you.
The preceding was produced by the National Center for Pavement Preservation. More information can be found on the web at pavementpreservation.org. Additional support provided by Michigan State University.